Hello guys, today I would like to talk about how to overcome nervousness or stage fright in public speaking. This is very important for those of you who like it or not, but are required to be able to speak in public areas, such as presentation in front of the board of directors, in front of the students or lecturers, in front of the community, etc. So how to overcome this nervousness or stage fright in public speaking? Okay, let's start one by one. So the first way to overcome nervousness in public speaking is to prepare and master the presentation materials as well as possible before we speak in public. And by learning and mastering our presentation materials, our self-confidence will increase and we don't hesitate about what we are going to speak in public. If we don't master what we will convey in public, I'm sure we'll be in doubt and won't be confident of what we are speaking. So how can we convince other people if we can't convince ourselves? So my advice is that we should keep learning and reading the presentation materials over and over again until we are convinced that our speech will run smoothly on the day of speech or presentation. Then secondly, after we study the materials completely, the next step is to practice speaking as much as possible. If we want our speech to be convincing, then the key to success is to practice and practice. We can practice speaking ourselves at home or perhaps in front of the mirrors as if we were speaking in front of so many people. Do this practice many times until we are sure that our speech will run well according to our expectation. With lots of practice, our speech will be more interesting, more stunning, and more convincing the audience. The situation might be different if we don't practice previously. Our tongue may be stiff and tucked, and then our performance may be worse. So we don't have to feel embarrassed speaking ourselves at home, because this method was once done by Sukarno when he was still learning to be a public speaker. At that time, young Sukarno often rehearsed his speech at home. He stood on the table and gave speeches in a loud voice until his neighbors came out and said, "How? Sukarno had gone crazy. Sukarno spoke to himself. Sukarno shouted to himself." But many years later, they finally realized that Sukarno was actually preparing to be one of the greatest writers in the world. And those who used to say that Sukarno was crazy actually ended up being crazy about Sukarno because of his amazing speech. So, if Sukarno, who was a great orator, used to practice public speaking repeatedly, then we also have to do the same thing. We also have to practice a lot, because with lots of practice, our tongue will be more flexible and not stiff, and our performance will be better and more convincing. We often see when many people make presentation and then they say something wrong, or their tongue is tucked away, and then they get nervous in front of public. Well, things like this are usually because they don't practice enough. If they practice continuously and repeatedly, I believe things like this will not happen. Trust me. Then thirdly, after the speech material is ready with lots of practice, and then the next step is to prepare our mentality. Please keep it in your mind. No matter how good your speech material is, no matter how good your practice is, if you don't prepare your strong mentality and prepare your self-confidence, then everything you have prepared will be dispersed, and you can even go blank when delivering your speech. So, mental preparation is super important for a public speaker, because sometimes, even though we don't master the presentation material and we don't practice a lot, but because we have a strong mentality, we can finally control ourselves and can convey the messages smoothly. So, if we have a good presentation material and then it is supported by a lot of practice and great courage and self-confidence, I believe your speech will be more interesting, more stunning, and more convincing. Then how to prepare your strong mentality, great courage, and high self-confidence? All of that depends on your brain. Keep it in your mind, guys. You are what you think. When your brains allow negative images to enter your brains, what will happen in public speaking is usually negative ones as well. For example, we sometimes have doubt feelings before performing in public. What if my presentation is bad? What if I go blank when speaking? How is my tongue is thick and slipped? How if my hands are shaking? And so on. All of such negative feelings and images will be haunting your minds. If you let the negative images that you make yourselves enter your minds, then usually the results will be the same as you are afraid of. Perhaps your speech will not run as you expect. On the other hand, if you choose to think positively, then the outcome will be positive as well, and your speech will be successful. So, if you want your speech to be smooth and successful, you have to throw away the negative images from your mind. Never give any space for them in your mind. You must be the controller of your mind and make sure you always keep thinking positively. Because if you think positively, your brain will instruct all of your body members to support the success of your speech. So, when all of your body members follow the positive instruction of your brains, then your hearts that were pounding previously will be calm and relaxed. Your hands that were shaking will become controlled, and your anxious feelings will disappear. And therefore, keep forcing your minds to remain positive and confident that everything will go smoothly as you expect. One more thing, guys, for those of you who are beginners and starting to speak in public, I suggest that you should survey the location where you will speak and then imagine that you are speaking there. This can at least reduce the sense of stage fright if you are familiar with the place. So these are the steps you can do before you come to speak in front of public. I hope this video will be useful and help you become a good and interesting speaker that is inspiring the audience. Happy training and success always for you. Thank you.